What's up, guys? Panic Knife here with theawfulgamer.com, and today I'm going to be discussing how to be an awesome marksman sniper in Star Wars The Old Republic patch 2.0. So previously I'd done a video like this on lethality sniping because lethality sniping was the flavor of the month. Now it's all about marksmanship. After 2.0 there were some increased, buffed abilities and stuff like that, but the really big difference between lethality and marksman versus, 1.7 and 2.0 is the fact that they incredibly nerfed crit. Since they had a stat rebalance, crit is a lot lower for most people, which makes it a lot harder to keep energy up as a lethality sniper. In addition, there are a few buffs for marksmen that really made a big difference for people's ability to either A, overcome that crit buff, or B, just the spec itself is stronger than it used to be. So now most of the people are running marksman sniper, and that's what I'm running, and that's what this video is all about. So without further ado, I'm going to discuss the skill tree here, which is first 3 points in lethality. Make sure you increase your range and tech crit chance. That's obviously important considering they rebalanced crit. In the engineering tree, I picked up the Gearhead 9% cunning buff, which is a no-brainer. Increase your maximum energy by 10, which is huge. Not at all, but what else are you going to put the 2 points in? And increase the damage dealt by your AoEs here with explosive engineering. I actually do use explosive probe in my rotation here for marksmanship, so that actually does help a little bit. Anyway, the really big difference in the marksmanship tree is these abilities up here. The lower abilities are pretty much standard based on what they were before 2.0, but the ones that really make a huge difference in terms of increasing the viability of marksmanship are zeroing shots here, which if you double your snipe and then hit an ambush, your ambush activates a lot quicker. Between the eyes is another really strong one here. I'll find it here on the there it is. Basically what it's going to do is increase your crit chance for snipe, series of shots, and follow through. Obviously with the crit nerf, that's going to be pretty critical. You want to make sure you're critting as much as possible. The sniper's nest with the energy regen, that's pretty important as well. Increases 1 per second while in cover. Since marksmanship, you're in cover a whole lot more than in lethality. That is a big one. So you're not going to run into energy problems nearly as much as you did in lethality. In terms of other abilities, recoil control, that's a huge one. Basically, this is the biggest buff that marksmanship got. It's similar to the buff that lethality was getting with the instant cooldown on takedown, but basically it's just it's fixing instead of takedown, you're hitting follow through, which is obviously the big ability for the marksmanship sniper. More or less what recoil control does is it makes series of shots channels a lot quicker, 30%. In addition, if you hit 2 snipes in a row, which obviously with a snapshot snipe, you're basically doing it in 1.7 seconds is two snipes. So that will finish the cooldown on follow through, so we're finishing a series of shots, an ambush, or a takedown. So you're going to be follow throughing the shit out of people in as a marksmanship sniper now. The only other ability of note here is headshot, which increases the crit chance of takedown in series of shots by 15%, which is, again, this is the same sort of thing as you did with a Marauder if you've ever leveled one. Marauder DPS is all about the instant crits. And while this is not, the 100% crits that Marauders have, it's really important and it's really helpful to have those abilities. Now, taking a look at my gear isn't done. This character is getting there, but it's not quite to the level that I really want him to be. Okay, so most of my gear is either 69 or 72, but there are some mods and enhancements that aren't there yet. The reason for that is that a lot of the gear that drops off of the flashpoints, especially, which most people are using to gear up to 69 level, it's all crit gear, and it's all alacrity gear. Despite the fact that there was a crit nerf, as you can see, I have my crit rating is way higher than it was before, 363, and I'm actually going to cut it a little bit. I'm going to probably cut out one of my pieces of crit gear. But that would have given me something like 37% crit, 38% maybe, in the pre 2.0 era. Now it gives me 29.23, which is an okay level. I want that crit level to be about 27 to 30 or so, just based on the fact that this class, because there's no dots, relies on the crit and surge a lot more than some of the other classes. So basically, if you look at it, a lot of these the mods on the pieces that drop out of the flashpoints, even if they do drop power surge, which they very frequently don't, they're going to use an A mod, which is the lower power mod. So basically, you have to combine the stuff that drops out of the flashpoints with the stuff that drops off the gear vendors, because if you take a look at the gear vendors, this isn't even the gear vendor for Imperial Agent, but it's all the same throughout. If you take a look at the stuff that drops off of this, look at that enhancement. That enhancement is really high endurance, which is important because there's, in the new operations, there's a lot of raid-wide damage going out, but that's not the optimal mod that you really want. You're not going to need much more than, 30k health, even with the raid-wide damage going out. So having, 58 endurance on that piece is a lot. And that's the case for almost all of the pieces that are purchasable in the vendors here for the comms, which is the main way that you're going to gear out that and flashpoints. There is one exception to that rule, which is actually this one over here on the warrior vendor. There's an elite piece of gear that is actually perfectly itemized. Oops, I just sold something. It's an alien data cube. I don't need it. But there is a piece here, the leggings. They're actually power alacrity enhancements off of theirs, which are the ones that you're going to want to purchase. If you have the ability to, pick up, if you have 400 elite comms, which isn't impossible really, then you can actually pick up, if you can pick up a piece that has power for the mod. That's going to be the I believe it's the adept mod. No, that's the adept enhancement. It's the I forget. Anyway, the mod that has the high power for sniper, and then you can buy this piece of gear as well off of the warrior vendor to get a power alacrity piece. And alacrity, with the buff to alacrity, it is actually quite useful in marksmanship. I probably have a little bit lower than I'd like. My my alacrity, I think it's 2.25 with 158 rating, and most of that comes from the piece here that I have off of my ultimate comms thing here. But anyway, taking a look at my gear, it's still a lot of power surge. You can play around with it and go power alacrity instead. You can go play around with it and use some accuracy. Obviously, accuracy took a hit too, so that's kind of important. Although with marksmanship, your accuracy is a lot higher just based on the talents. So it's the gear dance here in 2.0 is a lot more complicated than it was in 1.7. With the stats rebalanced, you are going to have to use more pieces than you'd like and lower your power more than you'd like. My power at this point is actually only it's 793. Like I said, I want to drop one of my crit pieces, but I don't have the elite comms at the moment. At this time of filming this video, I don't have the elite comms in order to replace one more piece here. I'd like to get rid of the I think this piece right here. No, hold on. I'd like to actually get rid of the offhands, or move the mods and enhancements off of this 72 piece onto my my offhand for now and work from there. But yeah, you want to get still around about 1,000 power if possible. I don't know that it's going to be possible at this point for me, but eventually I'm going to want to get to about that point. Now, one thing that is actually helping me out a lot, and I lost some power because I switched my relics up. The reason I did that was because of these new relics. The Serendipitous Assault relics are actually the ones you're going to want to use for DPS. I tried it out versus I previously had 2 Elite War Hero relics on my sniper here, but if you these 2 relics, the Partisan and the Conqueror of Serendipitous Assault, actually stack. These are the PvP relics. If you go in and run your PvP dailies and stuff like that, you should be able to get the 550 Partisan one very quickly, within 1 day. The Conqueror might take a little bit longer if you're not really into PvP, but you can sell your Warzone comms for Elite Warzone, or for Ranked Warzone comms, which is how you purchase this relic right here. I think it's 1425 Ranked Warzone comms. And the Warzone comms, they trade to Ranked Warzone for 3-to-1 ratio. So it's tough, but it's doable. It'll take you a few days, but when you actually do get it with the Conqueror and Partisan, this is way worth it. It is incredible. They stack. And if you look at the stats here, 30% chance to grant 410 power on for 6 seconds out of 20. And that it's not 6 on top of 20, it's 6 in 20, meaning it can occur anytime within the 20 seconds, and these two things stack. So when they stack, 435 plus 410, that's 810 additional power. It just blows your DPS up, and it's especially great for healing because every time anything ticks, it gives you an additional chance to trigger these relics, and you're going to be triggering it constantly, which will increase your DPS quite a bit. The math actually comes out to be they're about, I think, 40 or 50 power better than the Elite War Hero relics, so it's definitely worth it. I would definitely go ahead and try to grind out your PvP in order to get these two relics here. Otherwise, pretty much everything is the same as it was in pre 1.7. Your stat priority should still be power, power and surge. You can argue that you only really need to get about to 70% surge with the stat nerf. That's fine, especially considering with marksmanship, a lot of your talents do have a surge buff. I know that Imperial Assassin increases the crit damage of a series of shots, takedown, and follow through by 30%. I do 9k ambushes all the time on this character. So really, that's the gear priority. Power surge. Then you want to get your crit to about 27 to 30, somewhere in that range. And if you want to play around with alacrity, make sure you get to about 2.25. That's not too bad. What I have here in terms of accuracy, you're going to want to at least be 97%. I think my accuracy is a little bit low here, but it's not too low to the point where it's really hurting me. So that is about what I would do in terms of gear. Now, in terms of rotation, it's going to be a night and day from your lethality rotation. Instead of having a set rotation, you're going to have more of a priority list. So, looking at your talents and skills right here, you're going to have to, if you look at my keybinds over here, I have Sniper Volley on Alt X, which is really important. Your Adrenal and Target Acquired at C and Z for me. It's just easy to hit those buttons, just given how I work with my fingers on the home keys and that sort of thing. If you're obviously if you're a biochem, you should have an attack adrenal to increase your power. Obviously, that when that stacks with those serendipitous assault relics, it's just a massive amount of damage going out. The nano infused reusable skill stem gives you an additional 154 cunning, 63 power. It's pretty amazing. I mean, you really want to use that if you have the ability. If not, you can always get the crafted blue ones. But if you're doing operations or anything like that, you're going to want to have those on at all times. So, looking at my bar here, I have Sniper Volley on 6. It's not really necessary. What's really critical is that I keep follow through on 5 at the same button whether I'm covered or not. I use Q to hit cover to take cover in place. Obviously, watching where this is at is an important one. Covered escape. That's a movement. It basically is the equivalent of a sniper or of a sorcerer sprint and that sort of thing, and it rolls you into cover like that, which is awesome. I mean, it's the greatest thing ever. So make sure you have it on your bar if you want to bind it to something that you hit a lot. That's a pretty good one too. Obviously, rifle shot on 1. Diversion's kind of fun. It's more useful for PvP, but I have that on my 3 key. Corrosive dart, just in case I ever get the I have some movement parts of a fight or something like that, and I want to throw a dot on there. That's not too bad to have. Now, in terms of undercover abilities, I have snipe on 2. I have a series of shots on 3. 4 is ambush, 5 is follow through, 6 is takedown, 7 is explosive probe, and I don't really use anything besides those. Obviously, defensively, shield probe is important. Orbital strike. Make sure you have an adrenaline probe. I have 2 on there for absolutely no reason, and the other one is here is your where is it? There's my CC breakers on here somewhere. See, I'm a nub. I don't even know where it's at. It lights up. It lights up when I need it, so that's all I really need. I think it's it's right there. Escape. See, it's not lit up. I'm not running into trouble. So so you want to start out every battle, every encounter with shatter shot if you don't have anybody else applying the buff. And then you're going to hit into 2 snipes. That's because you want to proc the ability to decrease the time on your ambush. So without further ado, this is my rotation. So I go with the shatter shot, snipe, instant snipe, then we hit a 1.5 second snipe, follow it up with the follow through, go into ambush, follow through, series of shots, follow through, sniper volley, series of shots, follow through. Then you might want to throw in an explosive probe. Now, I've actually had some issues there with the fact that, you know, explosive probes sometimes will drop your energy a bit. Look at that. My dummy actually just evaded on me. This guy, he's clearly an amazing dummy that, you know, jumps out of the way easily. So let's try that again. I think I was a little bit too far away from it. So shatter shot, snipe, snipe, then you use the follow through, ambush, follow through, series of shots, follow through. Normally I would use a sniper volley here, but since it's not up, I will go into explosive probe and then snapshot snipe. Get out of cover, get back in cover, and snipe. And then you start the rotation all over again. Basically, you are looking for what is up. You know, what you have the ability to use at this time. It's going to be a priority list rather than a rotation. And if nothing is up, if you don't have ambush up, if you don't have, you know, explosive probe up, if you don't have series of shots up, or if you don't have sniper volley up, you're going to go into a snapshot snipe. And then use a second snipe and it will proc follow through. It's pretty simple, but you'd be surprised how often you'll screw it up just based on, you know, you don't think to go and use your snapshot snipe or something like that. See, I have nothing up right there, so I have to use my snapshot snipe. Go back in, hit it again, and ambush because it's up. Series of shots because it's up. And look, nothing's up, so snapshot snipe. It's pretty simple if you really think about it that way, but when you're in practice and doing it, sometimes you'll get the inclination to, you know, sit there and wait for something to come up, or, you know, that's really going to be where your DPS suffers. Now, what I'm pulling right here is about 2600. So this is, in comparison to pre-2.0 numbers, it's pretty amazing. Now, in terms of what some people have been able to put up on big boss fights, you know, it's pretty good, but it's not great. I've seen people that have been able to pull like 3,000 or something absurd like that on some fights. I haven't hit those numbers yet, but on, you know, damage buff fights, I can hit 28, 2900, somewhere around there. On the average fight, you know, like on, let's say Writhing Horror on TFB hard mode, I'll be able to hit at least 2600 with a few AoE hits and stuff like that. But on a dummy here, 2600 is about right for what I'm doing. So that is roughly the rotation of what you're doing as a marksmanship sniper. I actually think that this spec is going to do quite well in 2.0 until they change some things. One of the things that I might count on them changing would be the relic stacking. Now, if you notice, the Serendipitous Assault Underworld relic is actually stronger than the ones that are for the PvP. Here's the thing, though. They have it in the description that they do not stack with similar abilities. That makes it actually less useful. So it's more, at this point, more useful mathematically to use the two that stack, because you're ending up increasing the chances of this ability hitting, you know, within the 20-second period. You're not going to have as many times where you're going over 20 seconds. Because with 30% chance, of course, I mean, it's a check on that roll every time anything hits. But if you have two things checking against it, obviously that the chances that it's going to happen compound, and it makes it more of a, you know, of a chance that additional power from that ability will take effect, which is something that is going to increase your DPS by quite a bit. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope it was helpful for you. I'm obviously having a lot of fun playing my sniper still. I'm also working on my Marauder. I'm working on my my Sork Healer, and not as much on my Merc or on my my Sin Tank, but they're all level 55 at this point. Having fun playing them. I've cleared all of TFB hard mode again on you know, on this gear level, so that is a good time. And we're working on Scum and Villainy hard mode, so I should be able to bring out some videos for that fairly shortly. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Hope you guys are better informed on the happenings of sniping in 2.0. But anyway, with the awfulgamer.com, this is Panic Knife. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great night.